Hello, welcome to the Sapphire Systems new features in SAP Business One 9.0. My name is Caroline Parkinson and I am an SAP Business One consultant at Sapphire Systems. In version 9.0, SAP have brought in changes to make it easier to implement, easier to customize and extend. They've improved integration. They've extended core functions and placed greater focus on industry requirements. So let's just have a look at the agenda today. And what I want to just clarify is that this webinar is going to be going over the features. It's an overview of all the features. Because of the depth of the new features which SAP have brought out in 9.0, we won't be able to actually have a look in depth at each of these features on this webinar, and therefore each of the new features will have their very own webinar coming up shortly. So today really is just to give you a taster of what is coming out in 9.0. So we're going to be looking at business logic, including bin locations, the inventory counting, multiple units of measure, purchase requests, price lists and discounts, payment and deposit cancellation, marketing document cancellation, the new GL account termination, fixed assets integration, dropship, landed costs, item cost on AR returns and credit, memos, and system currency reconciliations. We'll also be looking at some localization changes, including Interstat integration, payment wizard and correction invoices, deferred tax on journal entries, financial reporting, GL accounts, search enhancements, manual reconciliation of down payment requests. We'll also be having a looking at the reporting and analytics side, which includes changes to SAP Crystal Reports 2011, SAP Crystal Reports 2011, the Electronic File Manager and multi-language support. And in the business infrastructure side, they have brought out the Implementation Center, implementation tasks, and implementation project functionality. Under the business process integration area, they have improved the electronic data interchange. Under extensibility and supportability, they have brought out an SAP Business One Studio Suite. And this allows the SAP Business One Workflows functionality. There are also some SDK enhancements. On the technical infrastructure side, there is the new System Landscape Directory, a single sign-on option, 64-bit OS support, security enhancements, data user credentials per company, accessibility standards, and data structure lengths for monetary transactions. And then lifecycle management just covers installation and upgrades, and also the now mandatory Remote Support Platform 3.0. Okay, so before we have a look at those, I just want to let you know that there's going to be a new sleeker looking design. You can see here it's grey and gold. However, users will still have the option for the classic design and also the SAP signature design. So the classic being what we saw on earlier versions 2005, 2007, and then the SAP signature design, which is that blue colour in the 8.8 family. So you don't have to have this new sleek looking design if you don't want. You can keep it looking as you wish, or you can change as and when you wish. So let's have a look at business logic. Okay, the first one is bin locations. So SAP Business One have now brought out bin location functionality. This has been required for quite a long time now, so it's quite a large gap that they have now bridged. So the benefits of these bin locations are to optimize stock movement, faster order processing, auto allocation facilities and supports different picking requirements and processes. To increase efficiency with accelerated cycle counting. We're going to be looking at some of that in a little bit. Significantly reducing picking time, as your warehouse employees will know exactly which bit that they need to go and pick it from. better to manage replenishment of items within bins, easier to manage reserved products, enhance visibility of inventory levels, minimize potential risk to inventory, real-time inventory positions allow enterprises to make better decisions. Warehouse efficiency reporting provides benchmark information for KPI setting. Now, the bin locations will be set by warehouse, and then there is an option for a further 4 sub-levels. As I mentioned earlier, this is an overview, and we won't be going into detail on the bin locations, as it's quite a large area, and will require its very own webinar sometime soon in the future. But just to let you know that bin locations are by warehouse, and then you have the option for 4 further sub-levels. You don't have to have those 4 further sub-levels if you don't wish. It's actually quite flexible. So you can have a zone, an area, a row, and then a bin. But also you could, for example, just have warehouse, and then a bin, or a warehouse, a sub-level, and a bin. So they have been quite flexible with it. And on the allocation side of those bin locations, all inventory processing supports the bin locations. So all inventory processing with SAP Business One that are, for example, goods receipt POs, AP invoices, goods issues, goods returns, delivery notes, AR invoices, stock counting, for example. You can set up automatic allocations for receiving and issuing goods. Bin location receipt and issue allocation screens for manually receiving and issuing transactions. The ability to replenish bin locations. The pick and pack manager supports the bin locations, so you can see which bin location is on the pick list. Picking method supports simple bin numbers and sequences. Bin location allocation rules apply when handling batch and serial managed items. Inventory transfer support bin location transfers, virtual stock movements. Item availability supports bin location visibility. Production order bin locations are specified on both issue and receipt from production documents. Inventory counting supports the bin locations. Barcode fields support per bin and per item. So that's just some more information there on the bin locations. And you can see here how you can allocate an issue out of a certain bin. But like I say, there will be a much more in-depth webinar going through how to support how to set up bin locations, how to use bin locations, just coming up shortly in the future. The reporting on the bin locations, you have a report on bin location movements. Existing reports will be extended with bin location information. New reports will include bin location list, bin location contents list. You can view bin location transaction history, linking to item ledger transactions and documents. All functions will be exposed to DI API, implementation tools to support bin location functions. Okay, so this is just an example here of inventory posting list by warehouse code, and you will see you can view which item is being into which bin, the quantity. Okay, so moving on to the inventory counting functionality. Some of you who have used SAP Business One before, the current inventory counting wasn't very in-depth, and they have made some improvements to it. Benefits being accurate reporting for inventory management, dynamic counting and posting of quantity differences, greater transparency in counting and corresponding posting records, analyze quantities and differences while inventory taking is in process and has been completed. You can compare differences between 2 inventory takers, greater flexibility in setting up count cycles, greater flexibility in posting stock take records for correction, a new end-to-end inventory counting process. So this really, for example, comparing differences between 2 inventory takers. Some companies prefer to have somebody go and do the first count, and somebody then to go and do the second count. You'll be able to have a look at any discrepancies between the two and make adjustments accordingly. So just helping more flexibility and efficiency. There will be cycle counting enhancements, whereby cycle count recommendations are linked to stock taking process. You can define more flexible count frequencies and set reoccurrences for those frequencies. You can define inventory cycles per warehouse bin location or item level. You can receive alerts for items due for inventory taking, for stock take. New inventory counting document to record and manage the inventory taking process. New inventory postings document to record and manage postings from inventory counting results. Two inventory takers can stock take in the same area. There's an ability to freeze items also while counting. You can directly post stock take records without the counting process. So there's just greater flexibility and enhancements on the inventory counting. And inventory counting will have its very own webinar as well. Also, you can view inventory counting documents in the open items list. The counting supports the units of measure. You can count the exact numbers of serial and batched items. Bin locations are supported throughout inventory counting process. There will be a central inventory stock taking report, inventory counting recommendation and risk assessment, and also a dashboard report, which will look like this. SAP have also made some enhancements to the multiple units of measure function, the benefit being that there is now the flexibility to sell and purchase in any unit of measure requirement. It supports unlimited global and product-specific units of measurement conversion factors. The enhancements being single units of measures can be grouped together as a subset based on conversion rules. Default unit of measure can be automatically converted to alternative unit of measure transaction processing. Price lists can be updated for each unit of measure. It now supports different barcode standards per unit of measure item, and you can define different packaging types per unit of measure as well. So this is just a graphic showing that you can have different units of measures in your price lists, and different unit of measure groups as well. There will be another webinar on units of measure also. SAP have also brought in the purchase request functionality, the benefits being the ability to notify purchase departments of items needed to order, quantity, and also when they need to be ordered. So for example, this is really for your sales department know that there's going to be a large order coming in. They can send a purchase request to the purchasing department. So you just got that information captured in the system instead of, for example, somebody just picking up the phone to the purchasing department, making a request, and then relying on somebody in the purchasing department to process that information. That information can now be captured a step earlier within the system, which also allows greater control over expenses and budget, as management department will have greater forecast of what is coming up to be purchased in the future. So you can create purchase requests as a preliminary step of the purchasing process. The new purchase request form and report. You can create purchase quotations or orders directly from the purchase request or the purchase request report. You can create purchase quotations based on purchase requests from the purchase quotations generation wizard. And notifications can be sent via email or SAP Business One with regard to purchasing requests. The notification when the purchase order and goods receipt PO has been created for the purchase request can be sent out to users, including the person who made the purchase request initially. So here we can see what a purchase request looks like. It's a little bit similar to a purchase quotation or purchase order. Once the purchase request has been created, then you can run the purchase request report, and you can create purchase quotations or orders, just similar to how you would create or copy to other documents that already exist in previous versions of SAP Business One. Prices and discounts. Okay, the benefit here, greater flexibility for pricing and discount models, increased control of prices and discounts, which includes a buy one, get one free option if you so wish, better transparency via price and discount reports, They set active and validity periods for price list and discount groups. There are multiple currencies for price lists now as well. So you can have a price list and then define different currencies within that price list. You have a price list per customer or vendor group. There's support for multiple unit of measurements for prices. Currency selection for special prices and period volume prices. Enhancements for discount groups. Discount control, which includes the buy one, get one free, price and discount reports, and you can now analyse price and discounts in transactions. So, payment and deposit cancellation. Actually, before I move on to that, I must also advise that there will be another webinar dedicated to price lists and the discounts as well, going through all these nice new functions there. So yes, payment and deposit cancellation. There's now increased flexibility in payment and deposit handling, whereby there's now support for cancellation of payments with deposited checks. I know there's not a lot of our users that use checks anymore, but anybody who does still do that, this functionality might be of some interest. Cancellation of marketing documents. It now supports countries where it used to be not legal to do so. Countries that now have that legal procedure, and there's no support for that. It's compliant to create a credit memo document for incorrectly added invoices, and it saves time with one complete cancellation step. So, for example, if you've got an AR invoice, you would right-click on there and you would select cancel. The original AR invoice posting will still remain, however, there will be a reversible AR invoice created. So it's very similar to a journal entry which needs to be cancelled, whereby you find a journal entry, you right-click, you select cancel, it double-checks if you definitely want to cancel it, you press yes, and then another journal entry is created. It's exactly the same as the journal entry that you cancelled, apart from the amounts are a negative. And this is very, very similar with an AR invoice. It's just an opposite to the AR invoice that you created that you want to cancel. Okay, so it's just a bit more about what we were speaking about earlier. So the base documents are linked to cancellation documents, are reopened after the cancellation, and can be used as a base document again. So if you cancel an AR invoice and it's based on a sales order, then that sales order can be reopened again, ready to follow through the rest of the sales cycle process, if you so wish. And that just saves the users from having to find that sales order again, maybe typing it all back out again. So it's a nicer functionality there. GL account determination, the advanced solution. So what SAP have done here is, at the moment, you can define your GLs by item level, warehouse, or item group. Now what they've done is they've brought in a matrix system, and it's not mandatory. If users still wish to use the existing level of GL account determination, item group, item level, or by warehouse, then that's no problem. However, they also now have the option to go to this advanced GL account determination. It's a matrix, and for example, it follows a set of rules. So, for example, it's a very simplistic one. If the item is a certain item code, and it is shipped to a certain customer that is in a certain country, it will go to a GL account. However, if the item is shipped to that same customer but a different country, it will go to a different GL account. Or if that item comes out of a certain warehouse, it will and then goes off to a certain country altogether, then it will go to a different GL. So there are just many, many rules that you can set up. It can be as complicated or as simplistic as you so wish. So here's an example of that matrix. For example, we can see here that the second line, for example, it looks at the warehouse first, then it looks at the item group, it looks at the item code, it looks at the item if it's active, and the GL account determination rule has also got an active from date. So therefore, depending on the warehouse, the item group, the item code, the warehouse it's coming out of, depends on which inventory account it is posted to. Okay, fixed assets integrated into core SAP Business One. A lot of you are already using fixed assets. I'm sure we've talked to you about this. It's no longer an add-on. It is within the actual application. It just makes the add-on a lot more stable, and they've made some better improvements to the add-on. It also, to the fixed assets. As it's no longer an add-on, it just means that it's more faster to run. And there it is in the main menu. Okay, and just some additional functional enhancements under the business logic area. The AP invoice now supports landed costs. Landed costs can now be created directly using the copy from function from an AP invoice without the need of a goods receipt. This supports a more streamlined procurement process without goods receipts, saving time and increasing efficiency. The dropship now links in with the serial and batch items. So you can set up or allocate serial numbers and batch mode items by activating manage serial numbers and batches in the warehouse setup window for dropship warehouses. So that's handy. Item costs on AR returns and credit memos. The item cost for an item that has been returned via AR returns or credit memo can be updated if it has no base document. So that's quite good for people using FIFO. The feature is activated by checking allow changing invoice cost for documents without base document in the document settings window. System currency reconciliations. The internal reconciliation functionality in SAP Business One has been extended to support system currency management. New posting accounts have been added to enable automatic system currency postings when performing any type of internal reconciliation. Okay, so just some information on localization changes. The Intrastat is now integrated into core SAP Business One. It is no longer an add-on. And I know a lot of you using Intrastat already, will probably be quite pleased with that. It's a lot easier to set up than it has been previously. And being part of SAP Business One, it means that the DTW is now a lot easier than it was. Yes, so the new configuration form for the Intrastat is a lot easier to use. It also means that the Intrastat on the business partner master data and the item master data, there used to be a little button, but now there's a new tab on the item master data, business partner master data. The new Intrastat declaration wizard has been added, so that just makes running the Intrastat report a lot easier. The importing of the Intrastat data is a lot better. And you can install the reported data, and it's now available to all EU localizations. Payment wizard and correction invoices, greater flexibility in banking. Payment wizard now supports correction invoices to be processed to the bank file, and that's for just those localizations there. Deferred tax on journal entries. There's now enhanced flexibility in customer-specific accounting processes. A specific part of the AT deferred tax can now be posted in a manual journal entry document, including journal vouchers, recurring postings, and posting transaction templates. So that just means that you can just defer the tax, and that's available to those localizations as well. You can now save selection criteria for financial reports. So if you have a specific way, for example, running the general ledger report at the end of the month, or if you have a few specific ways that you like to run it throughout the month or throughout the year, you can now save your report. And it just looks like this here. So for example here, this is just a graphic of somebody saving the general ledger, IFRS reporting, and you just click save, and then you'll be able to run it again without having to go through all the selection criteria each time. I think some of you will probably like that for when you have your auditors once a year and you can't remember how they like the general ledger report running. So you can just save your criteria just there. There's a new financial search function, whereby at the moment when you have a look for your account code, you actually have to either type in the exact account code, or you have to scroll down the list, the drop-down list, and have a look. Whereas now it's similar to a wildcard search, whereby you can type in, for example, 1 into the box, the find box, and it will come out with all the account numbers beginning with a 1, etc., etc. Okay, so this is internal reconciliation. You could, across the down payment business process, it allows for customer-specific processing for down payments. You can complete the down payment process using manual internal reconciliation functionality, consistent behaviour with standard down payment process, and it covers all localization needs, including specific text postings, such as reconciling down payment requests to AR invoices internally through the internal reconciliation. Okay, reporting and analytics. Just see here, SAP Crystal Reports 2011 and SAP Crystal Reports Server 2011 integration. You can now do state-of-the-art reporting through an upgrade to the next version of SAP Crystal Reports 2011. You can share reports and dashboards over the web. You now have the ability to complete down payment process using the Electronic File Manager multi-language support. The benefit is that you can support global businesses with multi-lingual environments. Translation can be outsourced through an import or export functionality, and there's the ability to translate generic electronic and bank payment file formats and export and import translations. I haven't actually seen many of you using that function yet, so if any of you are interested in it and would like a further webinar on that, please do let us know. So on the business infrastructure side, Implementation Center, they have now brought in something called implementation tasks, whereby it's a guide to help you with the implementation. It helps you configure the company settings, migrate data from legacy systems using the data transfer workbench, package a pre-configured solution using a solution packager, and you can then use that to create new companies. So it's almost like having a template that's ready. So that's quite handy for those of you that have got many companies worldwide and that are taking on companies all the time. And you can copy data between companies as well. So like they say, it's a one-stop shop for implementation tools. There's greater visibility and accessibility to available implementation tools. Enhancements being centralization of the implementation tools to the implementation tasks window. Quick copies is a new solution to copy data between companies. And then the project side, they've integrated a guided approach, drill down options to relevant SAP Business One forms. It's a little bit similar, probably, to kind of like a Gantt chart, and it's quite handy because you can go, because it gives you an idea when you're in the system of how the implementation is going. So you just got that within SAP Business One instead of being on somebody's Excel spreadsheet or in somebody's Microsoft project. There's 3 project templates available, and you can customize them as well. It just looks like this. So, for example, here you can see that you've got different tasks. So, for example, create users, create user defaults, set the authorizations, make the sales employees, do the commission groups, set up the chart of accounts, set up the GL account determination, and then when you click on those little orange arrows, you go directly to that area of SAP Business One, and then you can attach attachments, you can make notes if you so wish as well, and then if you, for example, if you double click on the attachment, in the little paperclip, it comes up with whatever the attachment might be. So, for example, it might be what each person's authorization should be, and somebody's written it down or put it in Excel, and then you attach it here, and then you can make notes and double-click on the notes, and you'll have certain notes about that particular task with the implementation of the project also. And then as you go down, you can tick them all off, and you can even update the status. So you can say I'm 65% complete on there, and then once you're 100%, it goes green, and when you're over halfway there, it goes amber. So that's I think that's quite a nice plan. Something nice that they've brought in as well. So business process integration. On the EDI side, they've made the faster process integration. You can jumpstart into EDI communication. The EDI exchange with business partners via the EDI package for SAP Business One and SAP, they've enhanced that. Information interchange on demand for SMEs. SAP 2 OD service for SMEs. Cloud service is easily connectable with business partners. Knowledge about business partners' EDI format is not required for the EDI package. It's based on integration framework. It connects between SAP Business One and SAP 2 OD service. Ready to use EDI content for sales orders, deliveries, AR invoices are delivered to speed up implementations. SAP have already made those bits there. And there's a tool for adaptation for new processes. So we can see here that business partners connect with the SAP 2 OD for SMEs, and it then feeds into the SAP Business One EDI package integration framework. Okay, so extensibility and supportability. This one here, the Studio Suite, I think that this is probably, apart from the bin notations, quite exciting, whereby there's now a next generation of Screen Painter with greater functionality. Extensibility projects can be completed without Microsoft Visual Studio. Define workflows and forms. And that is something we're going to come on to next about the workflows and forms. And what SAP are now doing is that they're bringing in functionality which allows SAP to actually work with the whole of the business process. So I'll show you in just a second. It's integrated with Microsoft Visual Studio. It's easy to use. It speeds up the add-on development learning curve. A few other bits there too. So let's have a look at just some information on this new workflow functionality. It's there to manage customized business processes. It's task-driven. It decreases company process learning curve. It monitors and controls processes. The process visualization provides transparency, support time of sensitive tasks, support conditional trigger process, control complex business process flows using conditions. There's two key components to it. Firstly, you would design your workflow. That is your workflow process. So just like a normal Visio chart that, for example, you may use as part of your ISO or just within your office as part of your training within your company. And then there's a user work list. And the workflow is imported into SAP Business One as tasks in the Workflow inbox for user execution and monitoring. So what does this all mean? It means that you can now put your business process, you can draw it out in something that's very similar to Visio within SAP Studio. Once you save that, it then links in with SAP Business One, and users use SAP in conjunction with the process. So, for example, the first user starts off by making a quotation. Once that quotation has been sent to a sales order, it then may be another user's responsibility to process that sales order into a delivery node. That user, whose responsibility it is to process a sales order into the delivery node, will see a list of sales orders popping up in front of them, and they will sit and they will just execute one by one, or not necessarily one by one. If they don't want to, they can do more of those sales orders into delivery notes, and then it may then be another user's responsibility to make those delivery notes, or it may not go straight to delivery note, it may go to pick list. Then those users will get a list of all the pick lists that they need to process. Those pick lists might then need to be made into delivery notes by another user, and these users will just see them coming up lists on their screen, almost polling, and they will just be able to sit and execute those. So it takes away a lot of the manual side of SAP, and it makes things a lot more automated. And one of the things, the key benefits is, for example, if a user is on holiday, we just need to log in as another user, and then that user will be able to just carry on that person's work without any problem. So, for example, here we can see, firstly, we design the workflow in SAP Business One Studio, and then once it's complete, and the process is set off, a user will get a worklist in SAP Business One. They can see what is completed and what is not completed. These are just tasks, and they go into each task, and they just complete each task. And then that was off to the next user for them to complete their task, and so on, so on, so on. And then just some other bits here. The UI API object level events. The UI API has simplified the handling of events in SAP Business One using object level events. Maintaining code and developing new code will become easier to manage as coding increases. The UI API column setting. The functionality of fixing columns in SAP Business One in some forms has been extended to the UI API to benefit all partners who would like to leverage this feature in the SDK. And the DI API exposure, a number of DI API objects have been exposed. And if you'd like to know which they are, then please let us know for any of you that are doing your own development. So, technical infrastructure. The system landscape directory. It's a centralized environment for security and server management. The new SLD service for security configuration and server management. There's a SLD service added to server tools installation, which replaces the current security configuration process. It's backward compatible for partner add-ons. Okay, there's now a single sign-on option. So the SAP Business One login options will be to log into a B1 client with B1 credentials, which is the original approach up to the 9.0. And now you can now bind accounts with the B1 user and then log into the Business One client with the Windows domain credentials. You can now also bind Windows accounts with the B1 user. Then no credentials are needed when logging into Business One client if the Windows session is opened by the bound Windows account. So this just makes it, I think, a lot easier for some of you. So a user can just log into Windows and they can automatically then log into SAP. So there's no need to keep setting up more and more passwords if you don't wish to. There is now 64-bit support for SAP Business One. So the benefits being it supports high memory consuming transactions, such as database upgrades, revaluations, stock audit reports, which I'm sure a lot of you will be very happy to hear. Comes with a bigger cash and better performance when running those huge reports, like the stock audit report. So Native 64-bit Business One client utilises all of the available memory on the client system, whereas I think, you remember, on the 32-bit, I think it was only 2 gig of memory. So this will make it a lot better for all of you running those great big stock audit reports, especially. And on the technical infrastructure side, some other enhancements here: security, compliance, and data privacy. SAP Business One supports the standard encryption communication channel between the license server, Business One client, and DI API add-ons. Different database users for each company database. There's now a new database user per company credential, which can be activated during the creation of the SAP Business One company database. It means that this database user can only access this company database and common database that is fully maintained by the system. Okay, and it's accessibility standard. This is to ensure that the ability to access SAP Business One is available to as many people as possible, such as people with disabilities or special needs. SAP Business One is now aligned with SAP's product standard accessibility requirements enforced by Product Innovation Lifecycle Process. Data infrastructure link for monetary reporting. SAP Business One now supports a greater data structure link for specific monetary fields and reports, such as the trial balance report. This will support currencies with large decimal place requirements and ensure more accurate reporting of financial figures. So, the lifecycle management side, installation and upgrades. There's now centralized environments for security and server management. There's the flexibility to import, review, and override upgrade test results. The enhancements being new system landscape directory for security configuration, server management, support silent mode tests and upgrades. So now there are 2 upgrade phases, being data collection phase and executing phase, which allow customers to run their upgrade without any user interaction, and schedule silent test and upgrade at a convenient time. So for those of you that do your own upgrades, this might be of some use. I don't think many of you do. There's some information on there anyway. And now the remote support platform 3.0. This now comes with 9.0. And it just helps us create tasks from templates with minimum setup required. And it's just about, for example, some of you which may have had fixes from SAP. Sometimes we have to take your database and then we have to upload it to SAP. SAP then do their work in their office, and then they come back and we do a WebEx onto your server. This will cut out a lot of that. With the remote support platform 3.0, SAP will be able to grab the data. Obviously, your authorization would be required. They can't just go into the database and start taking copies of data. It just means that some of those tasks can be made a lot easier. And some of you have already been kind enough to do some testing on this, and I think have really seen some of the benefit that can bring, especially when SAP may just need to fix something in your database. So thank you very much for listening to this webinar. Like I say, it was just intended to be an overview of the new features, just to whet your appetite, as it were, and we will be doing some much more in-depth webinars specifically on each topic. So, for example, there will be a webinar on the bin locations, there will be a webinar on the GL account determination, etc., etc. So do look out for those. And if you have got any preferences of what you would like on those webinars, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can email me at caroline.parkinson@sapphiresystems.com. Yes, I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye-bye.